going to talk about Cisco's private 5G solution and how we are integrating that with the enterprise networks. First of all, myself, I'm Bhavik Advaryu. I am Senior Technical Product Lead in Cisco, working on telecom for a while, more than a decade now. And I will walk you through what Cisco is doing, how Cisco is building a different enterprise-ready network, which can be solved for private 5G. So here is the agenda which we will have. I'm going to start with the use cases and verticals, quickly go over the private 5G solution, and majority of the time I'm going to focus on what are the Cisco's key differentiators, how Cisco is uniquely positioned in the enterprise market to enable this different vertical for the access type, right? Just like we have Wi-Fi, and we talked about for last 1.5 hours, and wired network right now widely deployed in enterprise. As we go into the Industry 4.0, we are seeing private cellular becoming more and more requirement for next to the Wi-Fi 6 as well. And then I'm going to talk over how we are integrating with the ICE portfolio, which is Cisco's Identity Services Engine and Umbrella, and how we are delivering this single point of entry, which will deliver unified identity and policy. We're going to talk about that in the demo as well, and I will do it live here so that we can see it, how we are doing this, how Cisco is enabling that for enterprises. So let's go over what are the Cisco's, what are the key private 5G use cases. There are key 4 verticals. So there are a lot more verticals than I have shown here. But the key 4 verticals are hospitality, logistic, higher ed, and the manufacturing. So if you see this, what are we seeing in hospitality? As we have more and more applications which are asking for throughput, such as, like, as we know, 80% of the traffic right now on internet is video. More and more users are doing 2K, 4K, and 8K streaming as the session right now. And as we have AR, VR applications coming in, the bandwidth utilization is becoming more and more as we have mobility scenarios. So you need to go into, if you look at the manufacturing, AGVs, and also in warehouses, AGVs are becoming widely deployed compared to last 18 to 24 months. It's everywhere right now. And they need consistent, reliable network because they will go from place 1 of the enterprise floor to the place B of the enterprise floor. And when they are going, they are constantly doing a live streaming. Somebody else is doing remote surveillance. Somebody else is maybe monitoring it remotely. And you need that consistent throughput and the low latency network, which can deliver that. And then there is a higher ed and the R&D, where as the enterprises are developing more and more use cases, ready for Industry 4.0, you see more and more scenarios where private 5G is becoming more and more requirement. If you see here, I'm talking about Cisco's private 5G solution. And what that really is it's basically full stack solution, which starts from radio. So you need, one of the key requirement is you need a dedicated network, which can then deliver consistent throughput and ultra low latency. We have converged 4G, 5G core, which we are delivering along with identity and policy. So we not only have 3GPP based identity and policy, and I'm not going to bore you with the 3GPP 5G network right now. I'm going to quickly go over what Cisco is doing. And then we have a cloud managed. So as we all know, we did the survey for 300 plus CIOs and CTOs for enterprises around the globe. And key requirement came out to be, we need to build the private cellular network just like Wi-Fi Meraki. It needs to be simple, simple, simple. It needs to be not something which enterprises needs to learn and spend 18 months to learn this, how this private cellular network works. We don't want that. So we have done this cloud management. So just like how you onboard devices on Wi-Fi, we will have Meraki, we will have a control center, which will be private 5G portal. It's going to be done through the online management platform, which is just simple like Wi-Fi. So the 3 pillars for the private cellular networks are simple, secure, and trust, and we're going to talk about that. So if you see here, and I like to share this diagram because if you look at the 3GPP defined 5G network, there are like 27 to 32 network functions. And if you ask enterprises to start understanding that and developing that or even managing that, you know how quickly that will become a nightmare story. So if you, the reason why I have this diagram, because this shows the complexity of the private or 5G network and what's the reality at the enterprises domains. They want simple, which just like Wi-Fi, and so that they can consume the network, like what's the usage monitoring, how can I do the device management, how can I have the utilization records and things like that. So from this complex network, which you see here, Cisco is delivering this. And what you see here is you have 4G, 5G radios on this side, which then gets deployed next to the converged core, which is running 4G and 5G. If you see here, we have taken this complexity out of running multiple servers. So this 4G, 5G converged core can just need one single UCS C220 server, which can run all the network functions which you need to run that. And it will be managed by Cisco, so enterprises don't even need to worry about that. And then it very well integrates with the campus portfolio which you have right now. So it very well aligns with what you have in terms of the Catalyst switches and routers, also Cisco ICE portfolio and Umbrella portfolio, and we are building more and more this integration. And then last but not the least, as you see here, the cloud managed service, cloud delivered service management and identity management are going to be key. So enterprises will have a way where they can, let's say, there are admins and there are regular users. So you can do this through the cloud portal where they can assign different accesses based on their role. They will have an API access so that if they choose to have UX, which is this, so they will have UX, which we will go in a moment, UX access. But if they want to consume those details through API, they will have that as well. This is built on a rich platform, which is right now being used and serving 200 million plus devices across the globe. So this is based on a platform which is, as we call it, Control Center. It's based on platform which is using, as I said, 200 million devices, 60,000 enterprises, and 60 plus service providers across the globe. So if you go next, now I'm going to switch into the gears where how Cisco is uniquely positioned to solve and create this differentiator. So there are three buckets which I like to talk about. Number one is we are not building an island private cellular networks unlike our competitors doing. We are building a net solution or private 5G network, which is integrating with their enterprise networks. So we are leveraging Catalyst switches, we are leveraging ICE portfolio, we are leveraging Umbrella, and we will eventually start leveraging with more and more portfolio like SASE and others. So when an enterprise IT OT admin starts thinking how they plan their network and their connectivity, it does not look like it's at multiple islands. It's something it will look and feel familiar to them. They will have to define access and policies, for example, only at one place. They don't have to manage more and more. So we are trying to simplify life of IT OT admin at the end of the day. This is built on a proven technology. So I already gave you a quick preview of what's the Control Center platform based on and how it's been running for last 10 years plus. It's also leveraging the strong position from Cisco Packet Core, which is serving billion plus devices right now on 4G and 5G. It's the last part is coming out of our survey from the CIOs and CTOs. We heard that they want a simple offer, which is consumable by as a service. So we are delivering this as a service and also through our partners. So Cisco has a strong partner ecosystem, as we all know. So this is going to be enabled by our partners, where partners are going to enable this and deliver this to the different segments and the verticals as they need, right? So we don't need, the beauty here is that if you are in mining vertical, you know what partners you like to work with, and you will go and work with them. So there is no change there. And then you will consume this as a service so that you can pay as you grow, and you can validate your use cases, build more use cases, and then you will get basically more bang for a buck. I'll pause here. Question.
Yeah, sorry. I have a question. I understand the management of the core network aspect. Are you saying your partners will also be rolling out the radio access network as well?
Yeah, absolutely, ma'am.
And they'll be managing that as well?
Absolutely. So very nice question. So the question here is, are the partners going to be responsible for radio and core? The answer is 100%. Go ahead.
When you say partners, do you mean VARs and who's your partner?
So we are looking at partner ecosystems such as Logicalis, NTT, and more. The service provider are also eventually going to be a part of this ecosystem. But we are right now looking for somebody, as she asked, is a partner needs to take over the responsibility of radio management, radio installation. So think of it, you need to go on site, do a rack and stack of the server, you need to install the radio units, you need to then do the installation, which is just day zero stuff, but then comes the day N aspects where you need to not only take care of the installation, but management, operational aspects.
So just to confirm, you're not talking about Cisco resellers who sell access points and switches.
No.
It's a different type of.
I mean, there is a cross section which falls into the both, but we are looking for the partners are going to be somebody who not only just resells, but also be responsible for management and operational aspects of the solution. And that's key because enterprises don't understand 3GPP and they don't need to understand 3GPP. That's the beauty of the solution. Cisco and partner are going to deliver a solution which is going to be managed by Cisco and partner, and they will consume this as a service. Sorry.
And so Cisco is providing both the base station products and then the core networking products that will be provided as a software-defined network running on a virtualization platform that can run anywhere. Is that correct?
So the question is Cisco providing base station and the core and other stuff? So if I go back, so if you see here in this architecture, we are working with our radio partners. As you know, Cisco does not have 3GPP radio products. So
okay, that's what I wanted to check.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a good question. So we are not building a 3GPP radio. We are working with our partners, radio partners, where we will get their radio, we will integrate with our solution and deliver it as a service, where partners then are having radio management platform and the private 5G management platform, where they will be able to then do the operational.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just having problems understanding what the Cisco product is.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. And I think that's okay. So what Cisco is doing, first of all, we are delivering this an integrated solution. We will also work with our partners. So when the enterprises orders that I have this much of 1 million square feet footprint, and then these are my use cases and this much devices and this much throughput I need. Once that is done, Cisco and partner jointly will deliver a solution where they can run private 5G. Cisco will ship the SIM card and they can plug it in their devices and then they can access it on the portal where they can start using that. Everything in the back end will be taken care by partners and Cisco. That includes installation stuff. That includes the, configuring the packet core, deploying the packet core, and all the good stuff that goes with it.
Okay, so when you talk about the Cisco solution, it will have an AMF, a UDP,
exactly.
An authentication center. It will have all those components.
Absolutely. So we will have a session
software.
Absolutely, ma'am. Okay. So you see, we will have session management, mobility management, UDM, UDR, AUSF, and some of the components will run on-prem, and some of the components will run on the cloud, so that we can then scale and all the good stuff that goes with it.
Okay, I understand now.
Awesome. No. Good question.
And did you say that runs on your UC platform?
So the packet core is running on Cisco UCS 220. It just needs one single server to run everything which we talked about.
But is it then your software?
Yes. It's all Cisco software. And the good thing is it's managed by Cisco. So we are not only providing the software, but we will manage the software for our partners. So partner will be a front end for the enterprises, but we will manage for the partners in the back end. So it's delivered as a service. Think of a Meraki model as you're familiar with.
You keep talking a lot in future tense. Do you have any deployments today that are actual revenue generation customers have paid for deployments?
That's a good question. So this service is launched. We launched it in MWC Barcelona. We had a lot of demos and lot of next generation version showcased in Cisco Live in Vegas, right, just a month before, and we're gonna see that here as well. We are right now doing this in multiple verticals and multiple geography in a POC and pilot form. So right now, if you see the private 5G ecosystem, majority of the enterprises are evaluating use cases, doing their, because of multiple things, the ecosystem, device ecosystem, the business use cases. So we are doing pilots and the POCs and trials at different enterprises and verticals across the globe. We have a lot of PRs that went out as well as part of it. And we are ready to serve the enterprises. So we are launched and orderable.
So you had said that you only need the one UCS server. Is there options for availability or clustering as well for resiliency?
Yes, sir. So we will have one server where you don't need resiliency, as you rightly pointed out. But then if you need resiliency, we have a HA solution as well, which customers can order, and it goes from one server to 3 server and then more. So now this thing excites me the most, and I had a session in Cisco Live here in Vegas as well. And this is where Cisco shines. How we, Cisco, are delivering single point. So if you see ICE platform, it's 40% plus market share across the globe. It's been deployed and used for identity and policy management. What Cisco has done is we have integrated this private 5G solution with the ICE. And as you see here, what we have done is, right now, when you have a device going through a 4G, 5G network, it will then get authenticated through the AUSF UDM UDR as it defined in 3GPP. So it does the primary authentication here, but then because of Cisco knows that enterprises uses ICE to define these access and policies, what Cisco has done, what we have done is we have integrated with ICE, where the same device will then go and check with ICE and say, is this device allowed to get on the network or not? And that's powerful because now you as an IT/OT admin can define what set of access you're allowing to the, let's say, AGVs versus Android devices versus Apple devices. And once you have the access, you can not only stop at that, you can also tell which VLAN you need to get into it. And we're going to see this live as well in a moment when we do the segmentation demo, where we will see that the device has been assigned a specific policy, and then it goes and uses that policy as well. So I will quickly show this because that's something I'm sure you guys can appreciate it, how this workflow is working before we go into the demo. So if you see here, a quick setup here, what I have made so far is I have devices, which is going and done the primary authentication through the 3GPP, which is sitting here in the P5G portal. And then it does the PDU session establishment. So this is the traditional 3GPP call flow. And once it does, what it does is it sends the PDU session establishment request, which goes from devices to the AMF, SMF, and USF UDM UDR. Then what we do is we then reach out to ICE as part of our integration. We tell, as part of the radius access request, is this device allowed access or not? And if it is, what policy to go for? So then ICE responds back saying that this device is allowed access. It does not stop at that. It also tells you which specific profile to use. So the powerful stuff here is if you have defined policy A, B, C here, and we'll see it in a moment, it will not stop at that. It will tell you use policy C for this device. And then basically the PDU session response is accepted and the device gets connected with that specific policy. So the powerful stuff here is ICE or enterprise admin defines this in ICE one time, associates the same policy to the cellular device, and now you have the same policy across your enterprise domains.
And it does that every time the user requests the PDU session?
If you have assigned that policy details, yes. If the enterprise have this ICE and the P5G at their location, and if you say, yes, I want to use that, it will do that every time.
So if the user is requesting multiple different PDU sessions, it will do it multiple times?
Yes.
Interesting.
And the good thing is you can have a scenario where, let's say, and I'll start this so that I can do the demo. Think of a scenario where you have cameras and you everything was fine, but some sort of hacking happened and malware got detected and you don't want the access. You can deny it, and next time when the session gets connected, it will not go through. So that allows you to do real-time implementation of the policy.
I'm sorry for a silly question, but is this data only services or is this also voice over?
No, that's a good point. So this is data only services. We don't see a use case where we see a 3GPP based voice. I mean, you can do a voice over, web application which can do like WhatsApp, Viber, and whatnot, right? So okay. So let me switch gears, and I'll skip this slide. We're gonna talk about all those stuff in a moment, but I like this because it summarizes what we're gonna show through it, and we will share this content as well post this, right? So let's go through it, right? So if you see here, this is the Identity Services Engine platform, which you may be familiar with, and what we have here is there are endpoint identity groups defined. So you can have 5G devices, Android, Meraki cameras. You have workstation and whatnot. So you define the endpoints here. Then you have user identity. These are the policies here. So if you see here, you can define, access on VLAN 895, 896. Is the employee profile versus a guest profile, access allowed, access denied, and things like that. And then what we have done is we took this and and this is the P5G portal. So I'm going to switch to a different tabs here. So I'm going to walk you through, and that's why I'm doing this live, because I felt recording may not be that well. So if you see this is our P5G portal. And what we have here is we have now onboarded ICE onto our platform. So now we say what's the IP address is, what's the username, password, and then what port you need to access on. Then not only that, we have device group details. So we automatically pull, as part of this integration, you pull those device groups and the device types here. So now the P5G portal has the memory of how this, what all policies you have. And then at the end, you have device profiles, which then gets assigned to the devices. So now I'm going into the devices tab.
Is that a one-time ingestion or is that?
Yes. And you do it at the beginning. And then let's say you have a new entries being added, you can have a sync being done automatically, which will then populate the data. So now what I have here is I have defined the devices. So this is what I'm showing. This is the power of this portal. You can see that how easy it is to enable and disable device. So let's say if I'll quickly do a portal demo. You can do a bulk edit. You can activate the device. You can deactivate the device. So you can say, is the SIM here? Sorry, is the SIM in activated state or inventory stage? I can do a bulk edit and I can move those stuff. What I'm going to show here is we are going to focus on Scarlett's device. So this is a Scarlett who has a device which is going, we want it to go on VLAN 896. So if you see here, we have assigned this device which Scarlett has, and we're going to do a live call here on VLAN 896. How we will do this? So we showed this in Cisco Live as well, as you can see here. So this is our, front end of the simulator, which we are going to use to run the call. And this is Scarlett. And we're going to show the VLAN microsegmentation demo here. So what we are trying to achieve here is we will use Scarlett's device. We will see how we initiate a call. It will go and do the primary authentication. So let's click that. Let's click the start. So you'll see here, it will go here and it will do the primary authentication. It went through fine. The policy is allowed, which is good, which is what it is. And then once the policy is allowed, I said, yes, you can go and access it. And then the data connection got established. So if ICE would have said you're not allowed, the data session would not go through. So that's step number one. If you go here, if you remember, or if you noticed, there was no here. You can see that it automatically updated the session is on. Let's click on this session. And if you see here, now you can see additional details of what's the device IP address is and all the other stuff. This tool is so powerful. So I'm going to show you how you can troubleshoot this as well. So if you click on Spotlight, so this is a real-time view where it will show you a streamlines where it will show you different alerts. And if you click here, it tells you ICE allowed. And hence, you can see that you can activate the message which tells you that ICE has allowed this access. Now, what I'm going to show you next is I'm monitoring this on the remote server where I'm running this traffic on VLAN 896. If you see here, there was no traffic before. And because once we started the traffic on VLAN 896, you can see the traffic is going on. We can stop the session and we can see that the session will disconnect and then the VLAN traffic will go. So this is, I'm monitoring it on the remote server so that you can see live that the traffic is being shown on VLAN or transmitting on VLAN 896. To wrap it off on the demo part, I can, and then once you are disconnected, you will see that the session is no longer in active. One more thing I would say, how easy it is to activate and deactivate the profile. So if you go here, this is another use case from Michael's device. I can click on edit. And if I need to change the profile, all I have to do, or I need a new policy as we talked about earlier, let's say something got changed and I want from allowed to deny. It's as simple as click here, access OK, and then you will start having deny. So you can change the policy as quickly as that. So that wraps up the video. Let me go back and summarize what we just talked about. So if you look at it, the summary here is that Cisco's private 5G solution is enterprise ready. We are ready and we are very well integrated with the existing enterprise portfolio. It's the goal and the intention of this solution is make it simple like Meraki Wi-Fi. And as you saw, how easy we have made to onboard the devices and also integrate with the existing platform. And last but not the least, the last two bullets are secured and trusted. So we are integrating with Cisco portfolio like Umbrella, SASE, and others, where we are delivering this policy where we can bring in security policies from those platforms as well. And last, as we have seen, we are integrating with ICE so that the IT/OT admin can have the trusted network being used for their identity and policy.
You had mentioned these partners who aren't resellers, but they're bigger partners. They're going to need to come in, and when they install, all of this data traffic is going to ride over the enterprise's infrastructure. Switch ports, PoE, routes.
Yes, sir.
VLANs, inside the firewall, all of that. That's not what they normally do.
So here is what the little bit nugget information is. So as we talked about this UCS server, it also hosts the user plane function. So one of the key requirement is we want to preserve the data within the enterprise. The data should not leave enterprise unless they want it to leave. So the way it is right now, whenever you are deploying private cellular network, you have two choices. Either you deploy user plane function locally at your site or remotely on cloud. We are choosing to have this locally so that enterprises can do a local breakout, local application, and things like that. So that basically allow partners to contain and offer this service for enterprises where they are able to, decide. Enterprises have the power to decide whether my data goes out or not.
Oh, I understand that. That's the easy part. The question I was trying to ask is, how do these third party NTT Telecom or whoever is the enterprise going to allow them to come in and ride over their network?
So the good part is there will come a time where we will need to leverage enterprise transport network. And that's what you are saying. Yeah. Absolutely. So we will need to rely, and that's what we are having this POCs and pilots right now where enterprise, but I don't see a major concern from enterprises where they have issue because whenever they are going with this private cellular network, they understand that they need to build that bandwidth and the transport connectivity where they can allow this private cellular network. And I can share more details offline. Go ahead.
From previous conversations I've seen about private 5G, they always bring up the topic of low latency, quality of service. So if we're using the existing infrastructure, how do you guarantee that through the switches and the routers that it has to?
So the good part is we will be having a closure view on the fronthaul switch, which is where the RAN gets connected, the RU, CU, and DU. And then from there, the TOR connectivity, where the packet code, the UPF function gets detected. The idea here is that we will have a little bit better control because there are some components where enterprises needs to make some investment to deploy these new things. And if your application is local, you will be more likely to receive this ultra low latency. Now, if you need to go to the internet for using edge applications which are running on, any of the cloud platform, then you are bound on enterprises to have this and that 5G ready network, right? If they don't, but the good thing is we are integrating with the Catalyst, which is so that you can utilize that power of Catalyst and Cisco to build that, end-to-end ready network.